Welcome to Exception Seekers, the show where we challenge conventional views on youth mental health and explore stories and experiences that offer alternative perspectives. Anne and I are here today to talk about the value of getting outside and having some type of backcountry nature trip experience, whether that's a canoe trip or a camping trip, just why they are so impactful for a young person. And I know this is a topic that, again, we both share a love of. So have been looking forward to talking with you about this. So, Anne, maybe first, what is it at a personal level that draws you to canoe tripping?
I think for me, canoe tripping, when I think about it, it's not all like, wow, this is going to be incredible and amazing. It's also hard. It's really hard.
Mhm.
And, the energy that goes around planning for a canoe trip and then all the prep work and then actually doing it and being out there and the feeling that you get while you're doing it and afterwards is that feeling is incredible. And I think being out in nature is a huge part of that. So this separation from the busyness that life can be
Mhm.
is huge. Just being out
Mhm.
there and being able to kind of pause and take a breath and, take in your surroundings and just be with
Mhm.
whatever is around you. And I think the other thing I love about it is um, the consequences out there are so natural. Right? Like if you are hungry, but you're a bit tired and you don't want to make food or start a fire to get your food warmed up, you're going to have a cold meal. Or maybe
Mhm.
you won't have a meal and you're going to be hungry. But
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really like that aspect of it too, because you're getting almost this immediate feedback from what it is that you're doing out there. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think first and foremost, it's just like peace out there, like an opportunity to just exhale and
Mhm.
look around. And I always say too, like the trees don't judge. You're just there.
I like that. The trees don't judge. It's exhaling, and I think there's something so unique now too about, you're traveling at the pace at which you go. And
Mm,
it is just, if it takes you 5 hours to get somewhere, it's because that's what you had in you and how you decided to get there. It really does slow you down. And moving by your own steam, I think, is a humbling, um, but also, empowering experience.
yeah, I was thinking too, like the moving at your own pace. Sometimes you get weather, like you encounter weather and you have to slow down and you have to adapt. Sometimes you get to your site and it's not what you expected, or you're
Mhm.
on a portage and it's not what you expected. But that ability to kind of just adapt as well is huge to be able to practice that and not, you know, that translates into the rest of life too, right? If something comes up and you need to pivot, am I going to panic
Mhm.
and be like, no, but this is the way? Or can I actually pivot and figure out, okay, what do I need right now? And can we slow down? That's the beauty of being out there because you don't always know what's about to happen or what you're going to encounter.
Yes, but how do you respond? And how do you respond individually? And then how do you respond as part of a team too, which
Hmm.
I think, unless you're solo on a solo trip, you with either friends or family or part of a summer camp program where you're with like cabin mates or people you might not know that well. So it's also the balance of individually, how am I responding to this and caring for myself or pushing myself, or and then how am I contributing or not to the group and team dynamic. Because, yes, you travel at your own pace and you also travel at the pace of the group, which can bring up a lot of emotion too. If you're going faster and someone's really slow, and it could be very frustrating, or you're the slow one, you feel like you have to keep up. Like there's so many different learning opportunities throughout getting out there and being traveling through nature.
Yeah, I like as you're talking about that with the group, I think when I am out there, on, a personal trip or with friends,
Mhm.
you end up learning so much about yourself. I think, as an adult, I'm like, man, I'm frustrated that other people aren't doing the work. And then you learn, wait a minute, I'm just choosing to do everything because I need it to be done a certain way.
Right.
And then
Yes.
I learn about that. I'm like, oh, well, I should really like kind of just let go a little bit and see what
Right.
that's like, because I'm probably too focused on task or wanting
Yes.
things to be exactly a certain way. And there's learning, for the self there. And then when
Mhm.
I think about groups that I've facilitated, that teamwork, and like you were talking about, there are always going to be individuals who are a lot faster and ahead of the pack and want to get ahead. And then there are going to be ones that linger at the back. And then the beautiful thing that can happen, there's a lot of frustration in that. We're not moving fast enough. You're just lazy. And then this opportunity to really understand, hey, who's comfortable out there and who's
Mhm.
not? And it might not necessarily be about skill, or, how the people at the front, how do you think the people at the back are feeling that you're yelling at them, telling them to speed up when they can't? Like they're trying their best. And then this
Mhm.
beautiful thing that can come up when they go, you know what, that you're right, and maybe we should shift up and shift the canoe pairings or whatever it is, because we
Mhm.
actually want to support the group now rather than just yell at each other for being too fast or being too slow.
Mhm. You know, just like sometimes at summer camp, you are away from home and you have the opportunity to explore different aspects of yourself. I think trip brings that too. And
Hmm.
some people, thrive out there unexpectedly for themselves or,
Hmm.
realize that maybe they're physically fairly small and they don't think they're going to be able to do it. But, power and success on a portage is not always to the physically strongest,
Yeah.
there's so many different aspects to that. One of the biggest pieces I think comes out of those types of experiences is the comfort with discomfort and
Hmm.
how well, whether that's like mental discomfort, physical discomfort because you're cold and wet or tired, or you are so tired of like portaging this canoe and you just want to like throw it on the ground and like burn it. um it's learning to be okay with that and get through that, that I think is so powerful out there.
Yeah. And who's around you to support, right? Like I can think about portages, going on portages, you're tired, you've got that canoe and you just want it to end. And then there are
Mhm.
people who might be doing 2 laps, and just
Mhm.
that moment where they're walking by you going, you've got this, it's
Yeah.
only this much more, you're doing
Yes.
great. All of a sudden you get this boost of energy and you start to believe, okay, I can do this. And,
Mhm.
just the fact that somebody else sees you and is cheering you on,
Mhm.
it's pretty incredible. I've had before, as an adult, going on a canoe trip doing this 3K portage, and
Mhm.
it was just the boats that we had were old and it was so heavy, and it was such a slog. And anytime my canoe partner and I switched boats, we were just like yelling at each other, cheering each other on, like being each other's hype person, just
Yeah.
like be like really cheering them
Love
on.
this.
And it
Yes.
was so ridiculous, but just even the fun in that. And, again, that feeling of somebody else believing that you can do it and you being able to
Mhm.
push just that little bit further in that
Mhm.
discomfort and feeling like, whoa, that was pretty cool that I could do that.
I remember this one of the programs I worked with was with teens and it was backcountry based. So, kind of using those canoe trip experiences as a kind of vehicle through which to teach leadership and through which to teach team building and things. And I can remember I didn't go on those trips with them. So I would be the person waving goodbye to the bus. And then, a week later, waving hello. And I wish there was a way to capture the change
Mm,
in who left on that bus and who came back on that bus because
yeah.
they were just individually different. As a group, different. And, so many stories you'd hear of, I never thought I could do this. And, I nailed it. And
Hmm.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to somehow bottle that up and share it with people.
And
Yeah.
it's that energy, right? Like I think if you
Mhm.
took a photo, it might not translate because they probably look so tired after the
Yeah.
trip.
Yes.
But it is that energy and that they're coming back with. And I like when you're saying that too, I think even that first portage is so different from the second half of your trip because the
Hmm.
first half people who are not as confident to do the physical tasks are probably going, you know what, like no, you go ahead or I'll just carry this pack or whatever it is. And then by the time you're on the way back, they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. And I think I can do this. And I've got this. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's such a different energy on the way back.
I think it's always been such a gift for young people to get to be out in nature and like do these types of trips. And I think now even more so, to just have that full break and detachment from their phones, from other influences. Like you said, the trees don't judge. It's like, yeah, and there's no like button, on how
Yeah.
you're doing. It's the experience stays with that group. It's not going to be shared everywhere or
Hmm.
commented on everywhere. And I think even just that detox, that like time to fully come down from the speed of things is really important now too.
And so hard, right? Like I think about young people today, like it's
Mhm.
so hard to
Mhm.
detach from your phone.
Yes.
Like that's how your world is connected.
Yes.
And even as an adult with work, if I'm planning a canoe trip for myself, I'm hoping that there's no service
Mhm.
because that pull to get on
Mhm.
that phone is
Mhm.
it's wild. But being out there and being able to disconnect and just go, okay, yeah, actually I can't do anything about that. I just have to be and be with me, and this is a recharge for me
Mhm.
is yeah, it's so needed.
It's so needed, but I think that's a really good point though too of young people, depending on their age, it is, e- exaggerated even, but that need of pure connection. And it can be really, really unsettling to disconnect from friends for a period of time of, what if the speed at which relationships change and things happen is it like continues to astound me. And so to say, well, you're going to like not be on your phone for 4 days, a week, 3 weeks, however long it is, can be I think a really significant deterrent to even do it because it's like, well, that's too much.
Hmm.
Like, there's no way,
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, definitely. Like FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. What's
Yes,
gonna what's gonna happen when I'm gone? Are people gonna think that I still care? Am I gonna
totally.
be still, am I still gonna have a group of friends by the time I get back because I've been disconnected?
Yeah, it's not
Um,
just what am I going to miss, but what will be waiting for me.
yes,
Hmm.
exactly. Especially because, social media, your phone, it connects you so much. Like in some ways, I wonder if, well, it kind of feels like this codependence. It's like a really also accelerates this codependence, this need to know what other people are doing right now, or this need to like tell other people what you're doing, and then that becomes connection rather
Hmm.
than just being as yourself, and that would be really hard to put your phone down and disconnect from all of that. Like it's your lifeline. We hear that a lot,
Very.
from
Yes.
the kids and from
Yeah.
parents as well. It's their lifeline.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it's a strong feedback tool too. Like there's something that can be very uncomfortable with just having to like just sit with yourself and,
Hmm.
not have, because it's a distraction and when we want it. And it's also feedback on how we're doing. Is this a good picture? Was that a good outfit? Was this a good, because
Hmm.
people are liking it, commenting. And so when we don't have that external validation sometimes, and we aren't used to validating ourselves, then it can feel, yeah, very uncomfortable because like, what are we left with? Being a young person can be tough. Raising a young person can be tough. Whether it's school stress, family dynamics, or navigating challenging emotions, everyone needs the right support. That's where Sound Youth Counseling comes in. We specialize in helping children ages 4 and up through individual, parent, and family counseling tailored to meet each person's unique needs. From tackling tough issues at home or school to providing customized workshops and professional development for teachers and community leaders, we're here to make a difference. At Sound Youth Counseling, we believe young people deserve a safe, welcoming, and accepting space to grow and thrive, and every family deserves the tools to support them. If you're looking for support, visit soundyouthcounseling.ca and see how we can help. Sound Youth Counseling, empowering individuals, supporting families, and building stronger communities.
I think about this, the difference between loneliness and solitude too, when we're talking about this.
Mm,
It's scary to be lonely, so scary, right? Are other
yes,
people valuing me? Do they think, I'm
yes.
cool? Do they want to be my friend? And then there's solitude where you might not have people around you, but you're okay. You're
Mhm.
practicing that being at peace with yourself and not relying on or needing the other so much.
You say that word solitude, and it's so interesting because I wouldn't have thought this, but the minute you say it, I'm like I can picture it. Like I'm on a rock on a shore and it's quiet and it's evening and I'm just sitting and I'm pumping water.
Mhm.
'Cause that was always if I need a break and alone time task, I'll just go like pump some water.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just that, yeah, it's the calm solitude. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like really thinking about yourself and doing what it is that you need in that moment, like that to me is solitude. Because I think sometimes even for me on backcountry trips, like I was saying earlier, I end up making myself the person that does everything and does it perfectly. And then I feel guilty when I want to do something of my own. But the moment that I can just take out my paint and my paint brushes and just sit on a rock and, use the water to paint whatever is in front of me, that's for me like solitude. That's a moment where I'm doing what I want for me and I can kind of
Mhm.
separate and just, yeah, just be.
Mhm. It's almost like these forced moments of quiet because there isn't everything else going on around you. Yeah.
And it's hard, like we're talking about phones and disconnecting, and then it's also who you are or what your own expectations are of yourself and how you show up in a group. That's hard to disconnect from as well. And so I bring my paints and paintbrushes, and I make sure I paint because it pushes me to do something for me and not just always worry about doing something for the group.
That's a cool perspective too. Yeah, how you expect that you'll show up. Some of these ideas, whether it's, the backcountry canoe trip or things, can also, they're all, maybe people are listening and like, it sounds well and good. The idea of, yes, for sure, like get out in nature and as a group and do a different experience. And it can also feel inaccessible because, unless you've done it a lot and you have all the equipment or you're going with a group that has it, there's a lot of different pieces involved, and a lot of different skills that you need, to do it. So whether it's like car camping, at a provincial park and put a tent out in the backyard, like there's
Mhm.
probably, there are a lot of ways to facilitate kind of longer stretches of nature experiences, I'm sure, that people could consider.
Definitely. And to be able to ease into it however you might need to. Like
Mhm.
my first front country camping trip, like car camping trip, with my family, we like again, my parents immigrated from Hong Kong. It's not like they didn't know anything about camping. And here we are going to a campground with our next door neighbors who also have never done it before.
Mhm.
And we probably had tents from Canadian Tire and these blow
Sure.
up like this loud like blowing up the air
Yeah. Yeah.
mattresses. And it was like, okay, like last family in, you're gonna pick up takeout from Wendy's because we don't know about the cooking. Like, how do you cook over a
Absolutely.
fire?
Yeah.
And then, partway through the day, we're going to the mall to watch a movie. We're going to the diner at the
Mhm.
campground to eat breakfast. And
Mhm.
then this like transformation towards like, okay, a little bit less of that. a little
Mm-hmm.
bit less of that comfort or what we know, and a little bit more of us like doing and, making a fire and all of that, like just easing
Right.
into that discomfort as well is another way to, like, you don't have
Yes.
to go backcountry camping for your first time.
No, this does not have to be some no drop off, fly in, remote, takes you
Yeah.
like a month to get out. No, no, that does it does not need to be that at all. I remember our first trip as a family. Um, we had this idea of how long we would go, and then the reality of what that experience was like for a young child, and eventually it was just this this probably, one night was probably enough right now. And that's fine. And also kind of so checking the expectation too of, you know, ultimately what was success. It's a
Hmm.
positive experience for as long as you can, um, with little pieces of discomfort in between. But, then the next time it's like try a little longer, or and you learn as you go. And I think that's, yeah, all you can do.
And you have to be present to even know that those expectations are there, because
Mm,
otherwise you are pushing for an outcome, a longer trip, the trip you had planned, and it's
yeah.
just going to be chaos,
Yes.
and everything around you is going to go, no, no more. But if you're
Yes.
so focused on what it is
Yes.
that you wanted, you miss actually being present and
Hmm.
attuning to what it is that you need and what people around you need in that moment.
Yes. It really is the journey.
And those front country camping trips, the car camping with family, I go every year with my family and our friends and their kids, and the like it's such a highlight for them,
Mm.
and the things that are highlights for them are so funny because you would never think that that would be. But one year we had left the cooler open and a whole bunch of raccoons came. But that becomes like a highlight, right? Like,
Right.
remember when the raccoons came? And then it's this funny thing. And
Yes.
then now the kids, like the 5-year-olds, are going, "Did you close the cooler?" Like they're so this learning for them, but also just
Hmm.
these like silly moments and being able
Hmm.
to be present in it and adapt
Hmm.
when things like that happen.
All right. Thanks, Anne.
Thanks for having me.
I love any opportunity I have to talk about canoe tripping and share stories and swap experiences. And one of the things I loved about my conversation with Anne is that it really speaks to this concept of exception seeking. When I speak with guests, sometimes one of my questions is often, when did you first realize that you saw things a little differently? Or what were some early experiences that gave you the confidence to say, I think I'm going to kind of forge my own path here and do something different? And I think the idea of getting out in nature, whether it's going for a hike for a day, whether it's a front country car camp trip, whether it's a backcountry extended paddling trip, they present these opportunities to go on your own path, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think they are incredibly impactful experiences to learn how to trust yourself in those situations. And I think those are life lessons that we carry with us. And so, for anyone listening who is wondering what to do as the weather gets warmer, get outside and see what you find out about yourself. Thanks for listening to Exception Seekers. Tune in again as we continue to seek overlooked stories that offer new perspectives, disrupt limiting beliefs, and inspire transformative approaches to nurturing youth mental health.
This podcast was produced by North Star Networks, the guiding light for progressive media.